Hey guys, Chris again from ClassicVWBugs.com, and in this video I want to talk to you about starting a Beetle motor for the first time. Many of you guys have seen ads online for cars for sale. Maybe there's something in your area or somebody that you know told you about a car that's for sale, a Beetle that's been sitting in a garage or that so-called barn find, and they gave you that famous line, well, the car ran the last time I parked it. Yeah, most cars ran the last time they were parked. So, you know, I know that what they're trying to say is that maybe the car will start if you attempted to start it. And what I'm here to tell you is how to get going on maybe starting a car for the first time after, say, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years, something like that, if the car's been sitting for a long period and you want to try to get the motor started. First and foremost, if you are in the general vicinity of the car for sale, and it's something within driving distance or something like that, I would say go out and inspect the car, inspect the motor first before bringing any sort of tools and things with you. But if it is a far distance, say 2 hours or so, 3 hours, maybe more, something like that, I would basically ask the seller a few questions about the motor before attempting to go out there. But if you are in the general vicinity, here's what you're going to want to do. First and foremost, we want to see if this motor even turns. Over the years, if the car's been sitting outside in the elements and there's a lot of rain that's been happening, condensation, and it's hot and it's cold, and the motor might have seized up, it might have frozen up, and who knows what happened prior to it being parked, exactly what happened to the motor. So I like to bring my big wrench like this, and it's got a 30 millimeter socket on the end of it, and I like to grab it on the end of the crank pulley and just see if you can rock the motor back and forth. Okay, so this one's fairly easy. Of course, I can rock it back and forth. If you don't have this wrench, of course, then you can, with your hands, grab the belt, okay, and just try to rock it back and forth. Make sure it's not in gear, and if you're in neutral, and see if you can turn that motor. If you can turn the motor, okay, good. If it does not turn, then that basically stops you right there in your tracks. There's no point really moving forward unless you really want to be bold. I mean, at that point, I would not risk driving it anywhere, or even, attempting to move it, because something's going to go wrong. If you can't move it by hand, good indication that it's seized, I mean, you could always put Marvel Mystery Oil down, take the spark plugs out, pour Marvel Mystery Oil down on down the cylinders and down the heads, and see overnight if it frees up. But, generally speaking, if you can't move it right off the bat, I would not really attempt trying to start it. But, okay, so now it moves. Okay, good. Maybe the motor will start. Last but not least, I would check, before you go any further, is check the end play. And I have a video on that, of course, on checking the end play. So you want to basically grab the crank pulley and push and pull in and out. Okay, you hear nothing here, which is a good sign. You don't want to hear any clunk. You don't want to hear a clunk, 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 clunk. That's how you know those bearings are really worn. And again, yeah, you might be able to get the motor started, but driving it, I wouldn't attempt it. that motor's probably going to need a rebuild, and you're probably going to have to drop that motor anyway. But if you think you want to be bold and you're only a few miles away and you want to try it, good luck, but it's at your own risk. So well, that being said, so if that checks out and the motor turns and your end play is good, now we can proceed further on what tools to bring to try to start your car. Okay, so first and foremost, before we go to start our Beetle that's been sitting for, say, 5, 10, 15 years, maybe more, here's a list of things that you're going to want to bring with you to get it going. First and foremost, you're going to want to get some fresh gas. Get yourself a gas can, get yourself a funnel, even get yourself some fuel line, because you're probably going to want to disconnect the line from the fuel pump and go directly to this gas can. And if the car has been parked and was driven during our now ethanol days of ethanol gas, ethanol gas after 1 or 2 months goes pretty crappy, especially in these older cars, and the fuel lines get eaten up and stuff. So definitely going to want to get some fresh gas. Bring some carb cleaner too with you. I mean, if you did want to get into maybe cleaning out a jet or something on a carb, and you could also use the carb cleaner as like a starting fluid as well. But you could also use again, some gas in a little cup or something and pour it down the top of the carburetor to get that going. Bring some oil with you. You don't necessarily have to drain the oil, but if the car is low on oil, you're going to want to bring some oil and fill that up. Some people do drop the oil and then put in some fresh oil to try to get the motor started, but you don't necessarily have to do that. But I would say definitely get the oil level up to to what it's supposed to be. Bring yourself a good battery, some jumper cables as well, sometimes the battery that's in there is already dead, or they don't have a battery at all, so definitely going to want to bring that. Or bring a jumper box too, so definitely one that can get the car started. Now here's some tools that I normally bring with me. Of course you're going to want to bring a good metric wrench set, you know, 10s, 12s, 13s, 14s. I also bring some sockets, bring a ratchet, bring some extensions. Here's my sockets. Here's my spark plug socket, which is 13/16, I believe, yeah. So you're going to want to definitely have that. Good set of tools as far as screwdrivers are concerned. You know, maybe some Phillips, some long flatheads, you know, if you want to get in there and try to tune the carburetor just a little bit. Also going to want to bring, I don't have on the table, a pair of pliers, needle nose pliers, maybe some regular set of pliers. God forbid you got to grab something in a tight area. Bring yourself a feeler gauge if you did want to gap the points. You know, I know it's 16 thousandths if you wanted to do that. Also, if the car again has a point distributor in it, if they didn't go to electronic ignition or something, bring yourself a file so you can file the points, because a lot of times the points get little nubs on them over time after being used a lot, and the points themselves actually have some wear on them, and you got to want to file down these nubs that build up over time. So might want to use that. A test light. You want to make sure you're getting juice to your distributor from your coil. A lot of times, if the wires are bad, you want to check that. Also, if you did want to time the bug, you can use the test light. I have a timing video, of course. And then you're going to want to I bring some spare parts with me. If I know what motor the car has in it, say a 67 or something, or a 68, it's got a 1500 motor in it. Because I have a shop, I have some spare parts laying around. Or if you know of somebody that has some spare parts laying around, you can possibly bring those. I mean, a lot of times the coils go bad. If they've been sitting for a long time, I always bring a spare coil to hook up. I always have a spare carburetor to bring with me, and make sure the carb is right for that motor as well. And if I know, say if it's a 1600 or 1500 Beetle, something like that, I'll get the right distributor to go with it. I mean, I have this labeled the 67 distributor. And then in this distributor, I'll have a brand new, good cap, a good rotor, good points, good condenser on it, so I could just throw that right in and try to start the car. These are basically the things you're going to want to bring with you. I know it looks like might look much to you to bring, but I mean, if the car's been sitting for a long time, again, these are some of the things you're going to have to, consider. Again, with the gas, I mean, if the ethanol days, let's say within the last 10 years, this car has been parked and has been driving with ethanol gas, depending on your area of the country. Some states do not have ethanol; they have pure gas. But if it had ethanol going through its system, that stuff is worse than the old style gas. So, but that's basically a general set of stuff that you're going to need to bring with you. You can put them in a bag, duffel bag, something like that, and bring it on over. So now that we have that stuff, let's go back to the car.